as there being a typo. A lot of folks just saying September 14th was the date that a new phone was purchased. Well, we've always had it as September 4th. So I just want to kind of clear that up here. But if anybody has information, credible information, factual information as to a phone being purchased on September 14th, please let me know on my WFLAJB Twitter, Instagram. You could also shoot an email over to me as well here, jbuno@WFLA.com. Waiting for Paul to chime in here. Not really hearing Paul. Just bringing his audio up here just to make sure we haven't missed him. He's really home. When we don't hear, Paul likes to talk to our audience. Paul likes to engage with our WFLA Now audience. And when he goes quiet for, I think it's been about 15 minutes now, he's really focused and honed in. Let's bring up Paul's picture here. I want to explain what Paul does in Eagle 8 HD. He's not flying it. People are like, oh, he's the pilot. No, he has a pilot, a dedicated pilot that is navigating, and he's always, of course, in constant contact with our pilot for Eagle 8 HD. We have multiple pilots for Eagle 8 HD. But Paul is working a joystick, very similar. It's like a video game controller, but more of like a panel in front of him. And he's got monitors in front of him. He's got several different cameras on Eagle 8 HD. So he is a master, and I say this, it's a master class in being able to look out of the window to spot something on the ground there, and then be able to look at it on the monitor in front of him and comparatively say that those two areas are the same exact thing. It takes just kind of like a meteorologist in front of a green screen, knowing where to point and having the presence to be there and be very, very coordinated, eye-hand coordination. Paul is among the best I've ever seen at being able to identify a point of reference on the ground and match that up with a point of reference on the monitors in front of him, while meanwhile he's about 1,400 feet up in the air inside of a chopper flying around. It's he's moving at all times, as we can see here. He's zooming in and out, he's panning, he's tilting as the chopper itself is moving. And so I just like to explain that for our viewers. Paul is extraordinarily incredible at what he does here. So when he goes quiet for this long, it's because he's really honed in here on visually trying to find some indication of where law enforcement might be here at this hour. Let's take a few more questions and comments here. Danny May's Adventures on YouTube. #KJB. Any news on the citation issued on the car? Was the car actually there for 5 days? We have not been able to indicate how long the car was there. We just know the abandoned vehicle report is on WFLA.com that the abandoned vehicle was found at 6968 Reisterstown Road, Northport, Florida, which is pretty much right exactly where Chris Laundrie pulled up to this morning here on the Myakka side of the Carlton Reserve. The ordinance, of course, Ordinance 4256, which is the ordinance for an abandoned vehicle, a vehicle that is left for too long in one spot. The date being September 14th, 2:42 in the afternoon. And the narrative, anytime that police, of course, file a report, there's a description, a narrative where they give details on it, and the entire thing is just ink, as in it's been redacted. It's just a big black square here, or rectangle here. No details there, and perhaps one day we'll find out more about it. But to answer your question, Danny May, no new information, but the information that we do have on the citation here, the abandoned vehicle citation, is on WFLA.com. Let's go to Key High on YouTube, #KJB. What is the relationship between where the Mustang was found and where Chris L's truck was parked? It's the same general area. The Myakka side. So there's a couple of different, we've been talking about the two different sides, the Carlton Reserve's main entrance, if you will, and then the Myakkahatchee side, where there is a trail that you're looking at here, the trail that then goes in on the other side of Carlton Reserve here. So it's the same general area here of where the Mustang was found abandoned here. That again, 6968 Reisterstown Road, Northport, Florida. And it might not be the exact same spot. Latitude, longitude, it might not be the exact same spot, but it's in the same general area as where the Ford Mustang was discovered. Zane Zormanta on YouTube, #JB. Police asked Brian's dad to help earlier, then they canceled. Did they ask the second time? What changed again? So all we've had are indications that Brian Laundrie Brian Laundrie's parents, Chris and Roberta Laundrie, they have been cooperating at every stage, and that cooperation has been conducted in several different ways. In that they've apparently, of course, been talking to the FBI. Bertolino, of course, the attorney, saying today that gave them trail information where Brian liked to hike, where he liked to go camping, where he liked to walk here in Myakka, on the Myakka side of Carlton Reserve. They also cooperate in the form of giving DNA evidence. We remember about a few weeks ago or a couple of weeks ago, the FBI pulled up to the home here and collected DNA evidence, or evidence for a DNA sample that they got. They also came a few days later and they collected belongings of Brian Laundrie to assist the canines in picking up the scent. So it's just been a whole lot of cooperation here. But this is now the first time that we have had the cooperation rise to the level of being at the Carlton Reserve physically. Carissa Marie on Twitter, #KJB, why didn't Roberta go as well? It could have just been a personal decision. This is rough terrain. It's and Roberta, I don't know the experience as far as hiking that Chris and Roberta have. This could have been a situation where Roberta came out here today and Chris didn't, or Chris came out and then Roberta didn't, or they came out together. I think that it just this is a new development. Of course, the media following every move here, the public following every move here. And I think that, listen, being out here in the Florida heat, in the mugginess, in a swampy area where you're walking through mud, where you're actively involved in a FBI-led criminal investigation and search for Brian Laundrie, I'm sure that there was a conversation that was had by Chris and Roberta Laundrie, and they determined, for the reasons that only they know, that Chris was the one to go and Roberta was going to stay, and that Chris... that maybe Roberta thought it was best, given all the activity at the home, that maybe it was best that she stay at home and not leave here for the Carlton Reserve. Carissa Marie, thank you for your comment. Again, Paul Lameson's mic is open. We might just check in here with Paul in a moment and just make sure that that our comms are still open. Thomas Camargo on YouTube, #KJB, any developments on the Appalachian Trail? None. Well, the developments in that there, of course, the sightings, and we've told you about the various sightings there, and at in the Carolinas, and the Appalachian Trail, and the 99.99% sighting there. But as far as developments, as far as the FBI or law enforcement searching the Appalachian Trail, zero. That would have been a major development, because it would have been the first time that law enforcement here connected to Brian Laundrie's disappearance acknowledged that the search has moved beyond the state of Florida. Let's check in with Paul. Let's see if we can check in with Eagle 8 HD's Paul Lameson and just make sure that everything's okay. Hey there, Paul, just checking in, and I see you scanning here, looking, and not a whole lot right now.
Hey, JB, yeah, we're here. We're back. We're kind of just trying to retrace the steps. We know where they started. We have the truck, the trailer, and they were on a little ATV, kind of gator-type car, and we're trying to just find that out here in the wilderness. We know they came across this bridge right here to get into the reserve. Once they got in, we don't know where they went off to. Our guess, we went both directions, and then once you're on this path, there are little roads you can drive into the main part, but once you do that, you're nearly hidden by everything out here. I'll show you one of the areas we're talking about. So if they came in here, you can ride it back through this stuff, and we see roads and little paths, but then they go into these trees. And as of yet, we haven't been able to find anybody out here. And we've been looking for the last half hour, and we just haven't seen any activity. And so that's where we are now, JB. We're in the area where they're apparently searching. We just have not seen the search from the air. But again, this part of the reserve you get a lot of trees and a lot of tree-lined areas. So say they're on a path, they would ride the path through here, but then up here you go into this heavily wooded area where you can still make it through. It's just tough to see from up in the air. So we have not seen them yet out searching. We know they're here. The truck is still up there. The trailer that held the ATV still up there. We just haven't found the ATV and the people on it doing the search. And that's what we continue to look for, JB. But again, it's a tough area to find anything, let alone two people out walking around or riding on a small ATV. So we're going to keep looking for another like 10, 15 minutes, and we have to go get fuel in Venice. But we'll let you know before we leave. But again, JB, we haven't seen anything up here. Back to you.
Paul, so you would have seen vehicles by now. We've been over this area enough. I think it's safe to say that we would have seen vehicles on the ground here because there's only so many places the vehicles can actually begin and then head out here into the reserve. So I see two scenarios here. Scenario A is they just haven't begun searching yet, and they're still just having a meeting or a strategy-based sort of discussion. Or scenario B, they're on foot. They're all fanning out here on foot as far as the search efforts here today, and it's just nearly impossible to see them because of how wooded and dense the area is. Do you kind of agree with those two scenarios being kind of where we are now here at this hour?
Well, the thing I think where we are today is there's not a large search. We haven't seen any law enforcement vehicles. The only two vehicles we have seen, we saw Chris Landry's maroon pickup truck, and we saw a white pickup truck with the trailer that held a green four-wheeler, basically like a little ATV. That was seen going off across into the search area. That's what we're looking for. We're not looking for a large search contingency. We're not looking for a bunch of law enforcement. We're looking for two people on a small ATV making their way through this wooded area. And that's, JB, what we haven't been able to find. Because again, say they came out on a road like this, which is fairly easy on one of those small ATVs, they could very easily drive it into this wooded area and be anywhere in this area that we cannot see from up here. So we're not looking for a big search. We're looking for two people on a ATV type vehicle. That's what we're looking for. Those are the only two vehicles we've seen out here today. We haven't seen any law enforcement vehicles. We haven't seen that van we saw yesterday flying the drone. We saw two vehicles parked in a parking lot, a pickup truck and a second pickup truck with the trailer. Two people were seen going into the park, and we haven't seen them since. And that's really what we're looking for. We've gone over the main roads, and we haven't seen any vehicles. We've gone through most of the side roads and haven't seen any vehicles. So we're looking for basically just a small ATV that can get almost anywhere in this wooded area. Like, I'll just give you an example, JB. Say you're driving down this road, you could very easily take a four-wheel vehicle into this part of the woods, drive down this, and when you get back in here, just go off-roading a little bit, and you're back in a wooded area that we couldn't see. So that's where we are now. We've been flying this area. Mickey, the pilot, and myself, we're looking, and as we go, we've been flying a grid pattern, how you would on a regular search, and we've been looking. And normally we can find stuff when there's not anything out here. It's or just two people. We haven't seen them yet, so that's what we're looking for, JB. It's not a large search. It's not like yesterday. This is a small two people search on a small little green ATV gator type vehicle out here, and so we haven't seen anything, JB.
If only it were bright pink, Paul, right? It would be just way more easy to spot. Paisley Purple.
But camouflage actually works.
Paisley Purple here on Twitter, #KJB. How long can the Chopper Eagle 8 HD remain in the air before having to refuel? #Brian Laundrie. So, Paul, I'll let you continue scanning here for any signs of activity, but really quickly, folks here online asking, how long do you have here before you have to go to Venice to refuel?
Probably about 5-10 more minutes. We have a total of usually about an hour 40 minutes in the air, hour 45, depending how much fuel we can put on. And fuel is based on weight, and then it all depends on how we fly. If we're flying fast, we burn more. If we're not going as fast, we don't burn as much. But we had to come down here from Tampa, so that burned quite a bit and gave us probably about 45 minutes of search time down here over the area. But again, we've been flying this pattern, and we have not seen anything other than the two vehicles parked in the parking lot. Now, one thing they could do as well is they can park the ATV under a tree and walk even further in. And so that's kind of where we are now, what we're looking for. And I mean, we see lots of stuff down here. Like we've seen just different things on the side of the road, like trash cans, pipes, like this thing. But we haven't seen the ATV out here yet. But we'll keep looking till we have to go. But I'll throw it back to you, JP.
Thanks, Paul. As always, Mike's going to be left open here if you find something that you want to point out. Appreciate it, Paul. Back here with you live, everybody, on WFLA Now. Yeah, you know, I have up here the, let's see, general discussion, 8 a.m. Eastern, October 7th, 2021 here. To folks on Reddit, I'd like to feature some of your comments here as well, so you can use hashtag HJB here as well. We are trying to engage with as many platforms here as possible as far as social media. And again, a big shout out to the folks on Reddit who have been following this and every little itsy bitsy development as they've been happening here over the last month. So really appreciate all the folks there on that platform here as well. Let's get to some of the other comments that are coming in. Let's see.
Yeah, I guess.
Let's go to Brittany on Twitter, hashtag AJB. Any chance the parents haven't made a public plea for help in finding Brian because the Carlton Reserve is closed off to the public since they allegedly, genuinely believe that he is there? Any chance that the parents haven't made a public plea for help in finding Brian because the Carlton Reserve is closed off to the public since they allegedly and genuinely believe that he is there? I suppose that is true. I think that there's just been a lot of commenters online saying that that just being able to just stay in your home and not do anything and just communicate sparsely through your attorney just doesn't add up to normal behavior for parents who are genuinely in fear for their son's safety. That's the commentary online, and I think that a lot of it is very much in agreement that there hasn't been. We have this incredible showing of strength and grace from Gabby Petitio's family, the Nicole Schmidt, Joe Petitio, Tara Petitio, and Jim Schmidt. They've just made multiple appearances, whether it be in press conferences or recently on Dr. Phil, and speaking and asking for help, asking for any help possible. Why aren't we seeing that from the other family here? And to the commenter's point here, it could be because the reserve here isn't necessarily a place that the public can just go wandering for one person, but it has struck a lot of folks as odd that there hasn't been any plea or any effort whatsoever by Chris and Roberta Laundrie to find their son. I think that's been stated many times over and over again. Oh, Paul found something here.
Okay, JB, we found it.
10-4, Paul, you're live.
Hey, this is it. This is what they were riding in. We found this. Now they're on foot, so it was tough enough to find this. We just happened to hit it on a certain area, but this is the vehicle they rode in. They came back in this. And so they're going to be somewhere off on foot in this area. So I'm going to get a little bit of video of this, and we're going to look in this area before we have to leave. But this is what they came out onto. And now they came into this area, and now they're on foot. So they're somewhere back here on foot. So they came back into this area of trees, they parked, and then they went on foot, and where they went is anybody's guess there, but they're back somewhere in this area on foot, and we'll keep looking here until we have to leave, and then once we refuel, we can come back and maybe see if we can track them down. But somewhere back in here, and they've had probably an hour head start. So we'll look back in that area and see, but I want to show you, this is what they were searching on. We thought they might have gotten further than they really did, but this vehicle is the only search vehicle that we've seen out in the reserve today. We haven't seen any law enforcement vehicles. We haven't seen anything other than this, and we don't even know who's driving it. It's not labeled as a law enforcement vehicle. So again, that's the vehicle they drove off into the woods in. They got off there, and they're now searching by foot, but they're not with a large contingency. They're just with two people. Two people got off the truck. Chris Laundrie was one of them, Chris Laundrie was one of them, and a different person, and we don't know who that person is, if he's law enforcement, who he is. But again, this is the area they parked. And so they went one way or the other. This way is wet. And this way, I mean, you can see different paths can go anywhere from here. So we'll keep looking in this specific area. When we'll go get fuel. And then when we come back, we'll focus on this area because they're somewhere out in here on foot. It's just a matter of where, and you can see in the trees there's water, so they could be anywhere out in this area, and we'll keep looking and let you know. But we did find the vehicle, so now we're just looking for the people. But again, I'll give you one more shot of the vehicle. But that's the extent of the search, JB, right there. So there's two people now out in the woods walking, and we'll try to see where they went. But again, they can be anywhere under all of these trees, which is more than likely where they are. We'll just have to see if they pop out at any minute, because again,
Paul, maybe I can help you out just here a little bit. We're gonna go split screen here for our audience, and it's not like it's gonna be a very bright color here, Paul, but Chris Laundrie here, seen with a green, dark green cap, kind of a light baby blue, grayish kind of shirt. Very neutral colors here, nothing too bright or vibrant that you'd be able to see there, but for what it's worth, wearing a green hat. And that's, of course, not the color that you would want to be able to spot somebody from the sky, but there's a pretty basic description. And Paul, I don't know if you had a chance to see the video from our cameras before you left for to launch from Eagle, but it's not necessarily colors that are going to be easily spotted by Eagle 8 HD in the air.
Yeah, but if we see any kind of movement, that's what we key in on. And now that we have a specific area, we can kind of go out, and it's just a matter of them coming out from under these trees. Because you see, if they're out in the open, we would definitely spot them. But we believe they're now hiking underneath the heavily wooded area, which is probably where they're searching now. But we'll keep looking, and we'll let you know if we see anything.
Paul, I know that fuel is a resource that is oh so precious here, but we'll let you continue, of course, scanning here and hovering here over this one spot, and we'll keep our eyes peeled. We'll go full screen.
Okay.
All right, folks, so we're not exactly sure how much longer we're going to have Eagle 8 HD here.
So we're going to go over to Venice and get fuel, and we should be back up in the air in about 25 minutes.
10-4, Paul. Paul Lamson, everybody, in Eagle 8 HD. And what we're going to do here in a bit, we're going to take a bit of a break here and step away. And then when Eagle 8 HD is back here over the area, we can, of course, resume our live here. And we'll stay here with you live in certain places. I think we'll be able to stay live on YouTube and on maybe on well, definitely on WFLA.com. WFLA.com is always live. It's always our live player lives there. And as far as then distributing that out to our social media platforms there, I know that we're going to be able to stay live on YouTube and perhaps on Facebook, but we'll see. Now, of course, we have a spot of reference to the Reddit community. I did see that somebody was kind enough to pass along some coordinates very, very much. And this is what I'm talking about. A big shout out to, again, the Reddit community there for you have to understand we're balancing trying to follow comments on so many different platforms at once, and thousands of comments are coming in every hour across all of our platforms at once. It can be just like this is a needle in a haystack kind of search for Chris Laundrie and law enforcement here on that ATV. It's also a needle in a haystack to find one really meaningful comment here across all of our platforms. But that's what we try to do. But to the Reddit community, I see you, appreciate you, and let's take some more questions and comments from our queue here. In the meantime, Coffee Addict on Twitter. I forgot my coffee this morning. I wish that I had my coffee this morning. Hashtag Brian Laundrie. How many law enforcement / unmarked vehicles are at the park today? As many as yesterday? No. Or is it just a couple that are accompanying CL, Chris Laundrie? Hashtag AJB. And based on, again, Paul's reporting here from Eagle 8 HD, it is not as noticeable here from the air here today as far as the amount of vehicles that are there at the Carlton Reserve there. We had 15 vehicles yesterday, a drone, including a canine there as well. And this looks to be a much more concise, smaller effort here, but it does involve, for the very first time here, Chris Laundrie, the father of Brian Laundrie. Lisa Harmon on Twitter, and we're going to follow Eagle 8 HD back to Venice, our flight radar community there. I know that there's a great flight tracking community there. Hashtag one of us on Reddit. They'll be following Eagle as it makes its trip back to Venice, comes down on the ground, refuels, relaunches, gets back there over those same coordinates there. Lisa Harmon, hashtag HeyJB on Twitter. Maybe this has been asked and I missed it. Is it common that members of the media are in direct communication via personal text with an attorney involved in a criminal case of this magnitude, or really any magnitude? And I'll say this. I've noted here on stream that that Stephen Bertolino's texting patterns have been a bit strange. Sometimes he'll release one statement to one member of the media and then something completely different. I almost picture him sitting in his office on Long Island in New York and just like texting back every reporter's inquiry individually, and just like, which sounds very strange, because you would think that somebody would just copy and paste the same exact message to everybody and then just, okay, copy, paste, and then paste, send, paste, send, paste, send, paste, send. But and it has actually become more of that in the last several days. But about a week ago, it was individual and varied responses here. But I will tell you this, Lisa, it's become way more. I have attorneys in my phone that are experts and that do handle large cases here in the Tampa Bay area that I can text at any moment to get some insight or ask questions about a particular case. It's actually really more common now in 2021 to be in contact with an attorney in that way, versus maybe 10 years ago when everything was kind of put out via statements or you would just make a phone call. But texting has really changed the way that attorneys communicate with the media. Absolutely. Shaylin Rose Rumsey, hashtag HJB. Hypothetically speaking, maybe Cassie's plea for Brian and their parents worked. Is this a result of? I've seen two questions asked in this way. Is this a result of Cassie Laundrie's publicity of late? Her being vocal and speaking to the media and speaking to Good Morning America and speaking to the demonstrators outside of her home? Or could this be related to Dr. Phil's two-part interview with the Schmidt and Petitio families. Very, very interesting here that we've had more appearances here from key members of these families, very visible appearances here from these families, and now we have some activity here from Chris Laundrie participating in the search. Coincidence? Maybe, but it's just hard to say for sure. I'd be very curious to know, Shaylin here, to kind of hop off of this. Has there been communication in the last several days between Cassie Laundrie and her parents? There was clearly a divide. She said that she hasn't heard from her parents in some time. In the meantime, while Eagle 8 HD here has frozen its shot here as it prepares to land, we'll show you the video from this morning. This is again from this morning. Chris Laundrie leaving his home with that plastic bag here, leaving in the red Dodge Ram here and the maroon Dodge Ram, if you will. Oh, that's Eagle's tone going up here to let us know that the shot is down, and leaving here and then heading over to the Myakka side of Carlton Reserve. But yeah, has there been any communication? Thanksgiving's coming up. I know I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but what is Thanksgiving going to look like for the Laundrie family this year? Does Cassie does Cassie come over for Thanksgiving? How massive is the fracture for this family? What is, family is all about, coming together and being unified, and especially on holidays, right? Holidays around the corner. We're closing in on Halloween here, then Thanksgiving, and then of course, we have holidays in December. I will just say this. Of course, we're curious. We're reporters. We're journalists here, and I'm curious as to what that relationship is like right now. It appears to be fractured, unless things have changed over the last 48 hours or so. M. Laurel Lewis on Twitter, #KJB, #Florida, #FL, and Carlton Reserve. Views from above the Carlton Reserve show a lot of wet, circular areas. I'm a Washington State person. Can anyone explain these geological features to me? Thank you. That's very interesting, because I live here in this area, and that doesn't seem all that strange to me, but it might seem strange to you. The Pacific Northwest is completely different as far as topography and way more mountainous. That's the thing that people don't really know about Florida until they visit Florida. Florida is flat, and it's in areas that are like the Everglades, very swampy, murky, and water will build and it will saturate on the ground. We get so much rain here in Florida that water will pool and build, and the ground here is very different in Florida than it would be in, let's say, where you are, M. Laurel Lewis, in Washington, or where I grew up in New York. Where I grew up in New York, every house had a basement. And then everyone will know where I'm going with this eventually here as far as the Laundrie backyard. Every home I had a basement. In fact, I spent a lot of my time in the basement. Hey, you want to come sit down? Sure. Josh Benson here, everybody. Going to sit down here with us in just a moment. In fact, I'll have to hit a few buttons here, everybody. But let me bring up Josh's mic so at least he can say hello.
Hey, guys.
And then it'll take me a moment here just to get Josh's shot kind of tune in here. Yes, I do it all. It's one-man band streaming. And it'll take me just a few seconds here to get Josh kind of involved in the conversation here. Always appreciate help as far as folks coming over here. I don't like to stream by myself. Having help is teamwork makes the stream work. Okay. Let's get Josh Benson's shot in here. And 3, 2, 1, live. Okay. And now we're here live with Josh Benson.
Hey,
here,
guys.
Everybody. I was just talking about how I grew up in New York.
Yep.
Basements were everywhere. I used to spend a lot of my time in the basement. It just, that's where I would hang out.
Basements are cool.
Basements are great.
Yeah. Minnesota. So we had basements.
You had basements in Minnesota.
Yeah.
We have a commenter joining us here from Washington State. So basements are extremely uncommon just due to the ground here in Florida. Yep. Not very, very common. So then this, of course, goes into just we talked about this briefly yesterday, the video that has been circulating online of people theorizing that the garden bed there in the backyard, that they saw movement there. And now there's this wild, crazy, baseless conspiracy theory out there that that Brian Laundrie never left home. He's just in the backyard in a bunker. And that's just, it's not.
So many people talked about it yesterday, and I'm surprised we're talking about that today, to be honest, because I know it was kind of a creepy look at the corner of the garden bed there, but yeah, I don't see how that could even be plausible at this point. But yeah, a lot of people talked about that yesterday, and a lot of good points being made today. Obviously, the news, this is something big in the case we haven't seen. We've seen the dad now leave out to go to the reserve to start searching for his son. That's apparently what we've been told. So what's the reaction to that? Because that's obviously the huge development today.
I'm sorry, reading some comments. The reaction to what specifically now?
Just in terms of what we're seeing here with the dad now out in the reserve.
I think that there are people questioning why. I'm questioning why now.
Right.
Why now all of a sudden? And also, too, whether or not the FBI asked him to be there. Now, we have the statement from Stephen Bertolino.
Right.
But did the FBI say, we need your help? Because that's not something that you can picture the FBI saying, like, Chris, we've been looking here and we can't find Brian, and can you help us? Like, that doesn't sound like something that
they
the
don't
FBI
need the help. The FBI knows what they're doing in this case. And I asked the attorney that earlier today. I said, can you comment on why he's there? And he says, to assist in any way he can. Then he sent out the statement saying he's assisting law enforcement in the search. He was asked to point out favorite trails and so on. That you've read that statement. But it is interesting because if this was the case, and this was 3 weeks now, as you mentioned, JB, why not get out there earlier? And the fact that the park is closed is not a very good excuse. I mean, if you're a family member and you're searching for a family member, I think you have clearance, or should have clearance, from law enforcement to go help out.
I agree.
Or a statement to say, hey, we tried, we went down there. There's video of us going down to the park. We were turned away because the park was closed. I would have liked to see that answer instead.
Yep, me too.
And video of this then showing, hey, we went down there to try to get into the park, and they said, go home.
Again, another one here from Tracy on Twitter, #HJB. Any idea how normal it is for the FBI to ask a parent to join a search weeks after he's been, quote unquote, missing? Why wouldn't they have asked his parents weeks ago where he normally hikes? And as we understand it, again, the statement from Bertolino that it was communicated to the FBI, Brian Laundrie's favorite trails and his favorite spots there at the Carlton Reserve. But now we're hearing that having him actually point them out there is way more beneficial. Having him on the ground there is way more helpful to the search efforts, at least according to Stephen Bertolino. But again, why wasn't this done a couple of weeks ago?
And did we not hear from him saying that they did point this out weeks ago? Some of the favorite trails and the favorite hikes.
Mm-hmm.
I believe they said that verbally to them. They just didn't go out and show them.
Here's another thing, I think we all want Brian Laundrie to be found alive. We want him to be found alive, and the best chance of finding him alive right now, if you were looking at a pie chart, okay, and the odds are highest that we find him alive here at the Carlton Reserve, because that's just where the most active search is currently ongoing. Mm-hmm. But as we kind of go on here, let's just state the obvious. It has to be stated as far as the obvious. Every day that passes here, the chances of him being found alive here at the Carlton Reserve drop, and it might significantly, yeah. And it might be a little, but and the slope, I'm imagining almost like a slope, like the odds of finding Brian Laundrie alive, and I would imagine that it's sloping downward here with each and every passing day, and that means that time is of the essence. And if time is of the essence, then why didn't Chris Laundrie get brought in here to point out these trails and point out these potential hotspots weeks ago?
All good questions. And, the family of Gabby Petitio, both families were on Dr. Phil yesterday and made some pleas and actually had a lot to say to Dr. Phil. A lot of people are trying to make that connection that the family now is trying to, the Laundrie family is trying to respond to the action that came out yesterday of, saying, turn yourself in, he's a coward, this and that. So, I don't know if you can make that connection, but it is interesting timing, to say the least, on why we're starting to all of a sudden see activity. But also the FBI has had a few quiet days in the reserve. Yesterday, we did see the increase in agencies. Sarasota Sheriff came in, other agencies came in. There was a bigger response. So all of the timing is interesting if you look at it.
It is. looking here at some more questions and comments that are coming in here. There are a lot of comments here that we can't animate on screen because they're just it's trolling comments here, and we're just not. I don't care which hashtag you use. We're not going to animate a comment here.
Where did you leave with Paul? I didn't see it before
So
when you guys were live.
So Paul tracked down the ATV. It
Okay.
was empty. The seats on the ATV were empty. We
that was a Gator, right? Like a John Deere Gator. Yeah.
Yes, it was, and and it was very evident that they had gone from that point on foot.
Yeah.
So Eagle 8 HD, everybody is refueling right now in Venice, Florida. I'm sure that our wonderful flight aware and flight radar community there on Reddit they probably know more about where Eagle 8 HD is right now than I do.
Has Paul told you flight time on that helicopter? I know that's one that we're using.
Well, he says he'll be back here in like flight time.
Like how long can he fly before he has to refuel?
It's about an hour. It's about an hour.
That's a good question for people to know because you can't just stay out there all day. He's got to go back and forth.
And we're going to try to do a 2-for-1 here. We're going to try to get 2 flights into one stream here. Now that Josh is here and I have somebody to bounce off of here, it's way easier here for me to fill time to get Paul back in the air for a second flight. And now that we're launching from Venice and refueling in Venice,
good.
That shortens the time.
Big time.
Because launching from Tampa, that's of course where the nest is, launching from Tampa and coming all the way down to the Carlton Reserve, that's a 20-minute journey. Right. So that cuts into our time, but 45 minutes max really is what we can do as far as over the reserve itself.
Yep.
Let's Brooke Daniel Ford. I'll let you kind of answer this one, Josh, because I want to go through some more of the comments here across all of our platforms, including Reddit, and try to get some of the ones involved there as well. But Brooke Daniel Ford asking #AJB, why wouldn't an experienced outdoorsman stay local if he wasn't receiving local support from parents?
Yeah, this is a good question. Thanks, Brooke, for the question. And I'm going to answer it just kind of what I was thinking about yesterday. I was actually visualizing why or how much work it would take for Brian to leave and to get out to the Appalachian Trail or to just spend the days that he had to try to leave to go from state to state. Now, that's a lot of work and that's a lot of resources and that's a lot of travel. It's a lot of mental anguish just trying to know that you're on the run and get as far away from possible as you can. But in a lot of cases that I have seen and covered, there are instances where, a person of interest in this case doesn't go very far. It's like almost hiding in plain sight. This happens far often than you would think. And they go to places where, they're familiar with. Now, we know he's familiar with the Carlton Reserve. According to the parents, that's where he said he was going to meditate and to just get away, whatever. Then that's where the car comes into the question. But if he's been out there on a number of occasions, which we're told he has, that's a place that he knows is very large and he knows it very well. So perhaps maybe that was where he was headed to think about his next move. And maybe he was prepared to stay out there for a few days just to try to figure out, all right, am I staying here or am I going? So when you say, why would an experienced outdoorsman stay local? I think it all comes down to the fact that he's familiar and he knows the area. He knows that it's large. He knows he can buy some time and think about what his next move would be. And if he's not receiving local support from parents, maybe he knew that. Maybe he knew they couldn't speak. The attorney's saying to the parents, don't talk. This is your right to remain silent. So do that. And so I think if Brian was aware of that fact, he wants, any of us would want to protect our parents in that regard and not bring them into something that could be a bad situation. So that's why I think that's why, if he's experienced as we hear he is, and he's not some kind of survivalist from what people are talking about in terms of how they know him and what extent of talent he has in the outdoors. But if he's comfortable camping and doing that sort of thing, local's just an easier bet to start because he knows the area well and it's comfortable for him. That's what I would
take
say.
This one more here, Josh, while I load in some stuff here from Reddit.
Sure. Yep.
Tammy Armand, #AJB, have you ever known the FBI to be wrong?
Thanks, Tammy. Yeah, they're not 100%. I don't think any agency is 100%, but they're good. I mean, they have the resources. They have the ability to make arrests. They have ability to run search warrants. They have pretty much every ability in law you can have in the country. So, yeah, I think just like in TV news, sometimes we get bad tips. We get bad information. And that's why it's so vital that we have to study where that information came from and make sure it's credible and make sure we're sure that we're dealing with a legit source before we run with something. Just like the FBI, I'm sure they get these thousands of tips to say, hey, there's Brian Laundrie here in Montana. Here he is in Tennessee. Here he is in New York. Here he is in Canada. That's a lot of stuff, and all of a sudden just 4 places. Think of the resources that would go into having to like track that lead down to confirm it to be correct or to be unfounded. So I think, for sure, the FBI has been wrong in the past, and nobody's perfect. And I think even though they're super talented and they know what they're doing, I think they're very careful though not to go down the wrong path, because that eats resources. And really, this is a race against time to find this guy.
We just had a comment here, and again, I'm trying to get more comments from Reddit involved here. And Munch Mac, I can't say this name, but it was JB. Let me know if you need a gas card for the chopper. I got you. And so hey,
regular
Reddit,
unleaded.
Reddit, yeah, right, regular unleaded.
About $2.99.
Reddit is ready to step in here apparently and assist with refueling Eagle 8 HD. But no, we got Eagle 8 HD refueling right now here, and I do want to spotlight some more questions and comments from Reddit, including from this one. From again, this is the thread here is the general discussion, 8 a.m. Eastern, October 7th, 2021 discussion in the Gabby Petitio subreddit. Captain Dust 1000 on Reddit hashtag, or it wasn't even just that. It was just a hey JB, do you have any information that would indicate mental health issues with Brian Laundrie prior to leaving on his road trip with Gabby Petitio? And I don't, there's nothing on the record as far as mental health issues. There's nothing even off the record that we have heard as far as mental health issues. But we have talked at great length here about what Brian Laundrie's mental state is right now, if he is aware of the amount of coverage right now that is being poured into and the amount of FBI resources that are being poured into his disappearance and his whereabouts. And that, of course, would be, you talked about this yesterday on stream, Josh, too, how taxing and how the weight would be so heavy on that person's mind, and getting, being found would almost then be a relief in a way, because just the mental weight of carrying all of that knowledge, knowing that the entire world is looking for you. It's I used this word last night, I'll use it again. It's gargantuan as far as the amount of weight that would be on that person's mind. To answer Captain Dust 1000's question here, we don't know of any mental health issues, but mental health is very much part of the conversation with where we are now in this FBI-led criminal investigation.
I had an interesting message on Twitter from somebody who watched the dad walk out and get in his truck. And, this person, everybody is looking at these parents as kind of public enemy number one right now. But she said something interesting. She said, I look at this dad and going to search for his son, and the feeling he must have knowing that he could be dead or alive, and he's going to try to find him right now. Strip away everything about the case. And I'm not defending this family whatsoever. I'm just looking at this from a human interest standpoint. The challenge of this woman says for a dad to have to get in his truck and say, I'm going to go try to find my son today. That's pretty heavy stuff. Whether you like the Laundries or not, whether you think they're guilty or not, here's the video I'm talking about. And I found that just to be kind of fascinating, because it is true. I mean, any dad, no matter what you think of a situation, you love your kids for the most part. Most of us dads do. And to have to go into that situation, whether that person's guilty or not, that would be tough. So I found that interesting, since there's so much stuff about the Laundrie parents and just, they can't stand seeing him or not helping. And I get that. I get the frustration there. But just wanted to bring that point up because I thought it was really interesting. It was kind of a 180 from what a lot of people are talking about today.
I have another comment here that I'm loading in here from Reddit. I'll get that one coming up here in just a second, but let's take this one. We'll go back to Facebook here for just a second to get to this one here from Debbie Littlefield. There's so many questions and comments right now, by the way, pertaining to, could this be possible? And could that be possible? And is this scenario plausible? And is that scenario plausible? And we'll do our very best here to, again, stay rooted in fact and try to break down fact versus fiction here. But there's just so many people asking some wild questions here, and we'll do our very best here to throw them on screen and be contextually accurate here with what is and is not possible. Debbie Littlefield. But before we do that, hashtag KJB, why are they wasting our tax dollars? They ain't found him there yet. I don't think he's in the country. And Josh, I've thought about this.
Yep, I have too.
As far as when it's all said and done and they total the bill.
Right.
For Northport Police, Sarasota County Sheriff's Office, Bradenton Police was out there yesterday, the FBI, and we might never know the dollars and cents of the FBI's investigation as far as how much money was committed here. But I've been wondering just how large
Millions.
the bill is. Millions.
Millions.
I think we're in the millions range for sure. It just makes you wonder.
And it's not like they're going to just say, okay, here's your bill, Laundrie family, you got to pay it. That's not going to happen.
No, it's not.
And that's taxpayer. You're right, taxpayer dollars, and you and I and JB are paying for it, whether we like it or not. And I, maybe in a court case down the line, if something is ever found out or some blame is ever placed and there's a conviction of any kind of sort, maybe there's some type of restitution that's applied, but it's not going to be to the tune of X million dollars. I think, this is a manhunt, and they're going to throw every resource at it to try to find this person. We have Gabby Petitio who was killed, and we need to figure out who did it and how it happened.
Debbie, thanks a lot for your comment. I promise we'd jump back over to Reddit, and then we're going to come back to some more of the social media platforms here. Mimoxo. Oh my goodness. Reddit, your names.
They're clever over there on Reddit. The Redditors.
Moxo. I'm going to go with Mimoxo on Reddit. Hashtag, or not hashtag, again, just hey JB, do you think that they are using Chris Laundrie for cues to see if he is lying through verbal/nonverbal indicators here? We can't answer this question, and this gets now into all the questions of, is this plausible? Is that plausible? But this, I bring up this one here from Reddit, from Mimoxo. I could probably say it a million different ways. Mimoxo?
Mimoxo.
I'm going to go with Mimoxo. This is an interesting. Can you imagine being the federal agent who's with Chris Laundrie right now? And I would imagine that federal agent right now that is with Chris Laundrie here is trying to pick up on body language and on tone of voice, and trying to pick up on just, this is the first time that he's been out there at the reserve. So I'm sure that there's it's got to be interesting here as far as that dynamic on the ground between that FBI agent or agents, depending on just how many are there with Chris Laundrie and with Chris Laundrie himself.
Yeah, and I appreciate that question, because I think a lot of the times we look so in depth on analyzing every little element of a case, only to find out later, no, we were just having a chat, or no, he was just pointing out the trails, like nothing was happening. But it is a good point, because if you're somebody talented with the FBI and you have so little clues in a case, that could be helpful to kind of bring him out there and watch what he knows, and analyze his reactions and try to get some information that could help them.
Not to mention that cross-referencing is going to be key, because if Chris Laundrie did give information weeks ago about the trails and some of the camping spots that were used by Brian Laundrie, and then he's there today, and what he says today, and again, we're going deep down hypotheticals here, so everyone's got to bear with me here. We're kind of going down the rabbit hole here. But if what he says today is contradictory to something that he said a couple of weeks ago, I would imagine that would be a red flag for the FBI to say, wait a minute, you told us to look here a couple of weeks ago. Why all of a sudden are we looking here? Or if they look at a new spot, they would say, Chris, this is vital information. Why didn't you come forward with this weeks ago when we interview you in your home? Why are we just finding out? So cross-referencing the statements now between Chris Laundrie being there today at the Carlton Reserve and what he indicated weeks ago when he communicated initially with the FBI, that is also another very, very important component here to the dynamic between the FBI and Chris Laundrie here at the Reserve.
And look, do we know that an FBI agent is with him right now?
We know that he is there, and he's being
with an individual.
But
the person who brought in the vehicle, as far as I know, was with the Division of Forestry. So that vehicle was shown to pull up with the gator, and could that person be with him? I mean, maybe he's not with FBI whatsoever. I mean, you would assume he's with FBI because they want to know everything that's going on.
To just give him like a liaison, just a driver, and not have...
I would think that FBI would be there. I'm just playing devil's advocate.
I totally understand. No, you're right, because
we don't necessarily know who's with him.
I'm very curious, because now Eagle 8 HD is heading back there with a full tank of fuel.
Gas.
Yep, and ready to go. And I just want to say that I'm looking forward to Eagle now having a full tank of gas, having coordinates here, and I want to see Chris Laundrie here, whether it's with the liaison or with the FBI. I want to see him on the ground. I want to know what that looks like.
Well, and it's pretty thick, you said, right? The coverage. So, I mean, will we be able to see anybody?
If he stays in the shade, and which, believe me, in Florida, you want to stay in the shade as much as you can with how hot it is. Even in October, it's hot. It's hot out there. It's muggy. It's hot. So you want to be in the shade, but you can't be just in the shade for the entirety of today's visit. You're going to have to, of course, be out there. And I'm hoping that we do see it from Eagle 8 HD once we're back airborne here. And I'm looking on our grid, nothing yet.
But I think it's just interesting to see the strategy today to bring him out all of a sudden. The time we talk about why now, it's just so interesting to, what do they have out there? What do they see? What is it just dead ends? And they think, well, if we bring him out here, maybe we can get on a hot new trail. Or do they have something specific they want to show him? Is there a campsite out there? Is there something out there that they've found? Is it something that they need him to kind of, you can't put it in a bag and bring it to the house. We have to go show him that's what I'm thinking maybe is the case. They got to go show him something that could be representative of what Brian would have done, since his dad probably knows him best.
How about this one? We're going to take another one here from Reddit. Reddit also commenting here in real time. And does a chopper have fuel or gas?
Fuel.
Okay, so what did you say? I thought I said fuel.
I said gas, but I just
okay.
No, take a gas.
All right, we're going to put that on mute for a minute because they're just talking in circles. Welcome everyone to the chat. Sorry to let you took 20 seconds to get the notification. Hi, Deb. Hi, Bedtime Clown. Hi, Tilly. Hi, Gary. Your comments have been cracking me up today. Well, all your comments. I was dying laughing at the chat. Hi, Katie. Hi. I said Deb already. I just said hi to Tammy. If I missed someone, I'm sorry. Hey, Ferrars. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. Hi, Barbara. I agree. His father's getting tired of his son's shit. Time to turn yourself in, Brian. Yep. If I missed someone, that's my apologies. What did we learn today so far? My question is, so Chris Laundrie is out looking for Brian. Why hasn't he been looking the whole time?
Exactly.
So you hide his scrawny ass, and now today the FBI tells you go find him, and you go?
I think it has to do with what's happened before about what Cassie said. They're trying to look good.
Yeah, trying to look good. Now, I did read that they said they found a looked like a fresh campsite, and they've had everything shut down there. So maybe there was some flip-flops or something like that around there. I mean, are they going to have him come all the way down there to say, hey, are these his shoes? Because Chris Laundrie is going to be like, well, he's got a ton of pairs of shoes. I don't know. I've never seen this before. Has anyone else? That they command a family member to come and help look? Or are they just fed up because they think that they know where he's at?
Well, I kept getting this picture of Chris Laundrie going, Brian, you come out of there now. You hear me?
Mm-hmm. I told you to quit your shit. Yeah. See, what else did we learn today? Well, we know that when Eagle 8 starts to run out of fuel, JB does not care. He would rather that thing crash and burn on the camera than him have to talk by himself. He gets all kinds of anxious when they have to refuel.
Yeah, it's plumb funny.
It is. JB also told us that Chris Laundrie had on a baby bluish shirt this morning when he left and a green hat. He said nothing that's really going to stand out for Eagle 8 to see.
Oh, he's so worried.
Also, JB said he's working by himself today. He said teamwork makes the stream work, but he's having to stream all by himself. What does he think I do? I agree, Pamela. Identifying items, perhaps. That's what I'm wondering. They said there was a fresh campsite there, so they're going to make him go down there and say, Are they just trying to inconvenience him as much as possible?
That could be.
Hang on, let me ask Phoenix something. It says wrenches are also members here. Absolutely, you are. Valued members. Absolutely. JB's worried about Thanksgiving next month. I have a feeling they won't be slicing the bird together.
No, I don't think they will. They'll be kind of celebrating separately.
Have a feeling that Chris and Roberta might have enough appetite to split a turkey sandwich, but I don't think there's going to be any big celebration. Yep, Joshua, you're right. We learned of JB's love of basements today too. That was fascinating. Okay, Tilly said Brian Eaton has reported that Chris was invited to point out Brian's favorite trails or spots in the reserve. It's all voluntary. Oh, come on. You're really going to trust him to say, oh, those are his favorite trails? He's not going to tell you the right ones. They've been hiding him. Let's go back to the Mustang. You go. What, big eyes?
Yeah, right. The whole thing. And this makes me wonder, did they call and say Chris wants to come help? Or were they called? Because we don't know that.
No, and JB doesn't know. JB's worried about fuel and Thanksgiving and baby blue shirts.
And Halloween. Don't forget Halloween. You know, that's coming up. I don't think Brian's going to be able to go trick-or-treating this year. So I don't, you know, and the thing was, JB was saying, okay, there's an FBI agent with him. No, it was a Forest Service guy.
Yeah.
So that tells me maybe Chris called. If I don't see any FBI agents, I'm not saying that he was called to go there. I'm just not.
I've never heard of FBI asking the family to come out and help search. And especially when he said it's basically a park ranger there. Josh was saying that. And Josh has been there for quite a while. I think Walt is to the point where he would rather talk about the morning traffic than hop on with JB in the afternoon.
Yeah, I think Walt would rather pull his hair out than be on there with JB myself.
My goodness. Yeah, this is all to somewhat look good. Maybe, I mean, obviously they're feeling a lot of pressure. Okay. You know that Chris and Roberta Laundrie are feeling a lot of pressure. This is not going to save them in the public eye because the 2 interviews with Dr. Phil the last 2 days are extremely damaging.
Yes, extremely. You know, and now they're trying to play up the deal about Roberta having been a cancer survivor or having cancer. Well, you know, it's funny that just now when the pressure gets on, this comes out because I haven't heard a word about that before then.
Nope, this is something real new that just came out.
And this is not to knock anyone who's going through cancer and chemotherapy and all that stuff. That's not the point. It feels like she's using it.
Oh, I think she is using it because she had no point. I say point. I was reading something. She had no problem hiding him. Well, someone that's recovering from a life-threatening illness is not going to take those types of leaps with their salvation, if you know what I mean. It is to get sympathy. We've all known people like this. When they get backed in a corner, next thing you know, they've got something going on. Oh, did I not tell you that my grandpa's dying? Did I not tell you that I have mental illness? Did I not tell you that I'm sick?
Mm-hmm.
It's to get sympathy.
Yeah, and if you look at that garden thing, I don't doubt that she's going through this because if you look at the gardening thing, she's got one of those sleeves on her arm that you use when you have lymph problems, and that occurs after breast cancer, you know, when they do surgery or whatever. so that happens sometimes with people's arms. They get that lymphedema in an arm or whatever. But still, now this comes out when the pressure's on. When it wasn't on, what were they doing? They were handing a card and slamming the door and not talking to Gabby's folks.
Yep. Not taking their calls. They said it on Dr. Phil last night. These people have absolutely no reason to lie. They said it on Dr. Phil the last 2 episodes. When her stepfather was going through, and I'm not trying to make labels to demean anyone. I'm just trying to, give everyone an idea of who's who. When her stepfather on Dr. Phil was talking about what, when he went to Wyoming and they explained this is where they found her, that's way too much for anyone to take in. Way too much. And for them to not even pick up the phone, return a text, hand a business card over from a lawyer in New York, shut the door and go back to their life. No, JB is right. They are public enemy number 1. People have more issues with Chris and Liberta Laundrie right now than they do with Brian.
And I think they managed to knock George and Cindy Anthony off their perch.
Yeah, they're probably loving this because no one's hounding them right now. They've been dethroned. Hang on, I'm going to put your link up real quick. Yeah, for those of you guys that are wondering, this is What Big Eyes YouTube right here. Check it out. She's got amazing videos. Yep, and they still will not answer the Petitio's calls. Still won't. Still will not.
Right, and they won't give them Gabby's stuff.
Nope, that was mentioned again. Nope, they mentioned at the press conference. I believe it was last week we streamed it. And then in Dr. Phil yesterday, I believe they mentioned they want her stuff. They can't have, her body hasn't even been returned to them. At least let them have her things.
I just don't understand what's up with that, at all.
I go back to this. I'm wondering what the attorney is saying to them. Is the attorney saying, no, don't send them her stuff? Just hang on to it. The FBI might be coming to get it. You don't know, I will give them that much. Okay.
Well, I think if the FBI were coming to get it, they would have gotten it when they had the search warrant to go in there and get stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm just playing devil's advocate on that. I'm like, maybe someone told them not to send it to her because are they really, really that cold-hearted?
I think, yeah.
Yeah, they are. They are. I mean, look how they're treating their own daughter. She's outside. She doesn't have an attorney.
Yeah, they cut her off at the kneecaps, didn't they?
Didn't take long. Nope. And I still think that she moved him out of that park. It makes no sense that 3 people went in, 2 came out, and she showed up on the 6th. An interesting point was made on Twitter yesterday. Look at when the Mustang was tagged. Okay, you have 5 days. That means that Mustang was actually abandoned on the 8th or the 9th.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because I got a copy of that order thing that they posted, and it was dated the 14th. So back that up 5 days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that only makes sense.
So after the camping trip, they stashed the Mustang over there. And no telling what, where Cassie took him.
Or what Cassie was told. I don't think Cassie has the position in the family to ask a lot of questions.
No.
I don't know why I get that idea. I think it's just he's the baby boy. He's baby boy, and that's it.
Yeah. And another thing, she says all of this stuff about, well, she didn't know anything that was wrong then. But the natural thing is, where's Gabby?
Uh-huh.
They're a pair, they're a couple. Where is Gabby? What did they tell her? Why can't she say she asked? I just got so many questions and no answers.
No answers. Cassie's given up the most information, but the more you try to put it together, there's more holes in it than anything. Like she's even saying, this is hard on us too. That's a wrong statement to make when you know it's going to get back to the family of someone that doesn't even have the opportunity to bury their child yet. Don't even ask for sympathy for yourself. Of course you would ask. They were such a couple that she moved from New York to Florida to be with him. They redesigned this van to take off across the country. They were engaged, whether they broke it off. They were always, obviously they had a cycle of a relationship. It would be I would be like, did she go back to New York? Then why do you have her van? She gave you her van?
Yeah. But then they claim they never saw the van because they never went over there. That's what they're claiming. They never knew that he came back in the van. So why didn't they ask, well, would you fly home or,
Well, the parents certainly knew there was something going on because he flew back. It's been verified. I know people were questioning that. He flew back to Florida to move her stuff. Then he flew back to Salt Lake City. Then they continued their trip. So the parents already knew something was up. With everything they're going through right now to protect him, I'm really surprised they even let him go back to Salt Lake City.
Well, I just wonder why that, because if you look at the cost of a plane fare versus a small storage locker they had, what was that about? There's something there. I can't, I'm sure we'll figure this out later on when the stuff starts coming out, but that just bugs me. That was it was senseless.
Exactly. If your parents will go through all of this, Cassie and her husband don't seem to have a lot to do. Why would you spend that kind of money? I heard it's like $800. I looked it up. It's almost $1,200 for round trip, Salt Lake City to Tampa and back. You might as well just keep paying the storage or pay someone to move the stuff out into your parents' house, cancel the storage contract. Why would you spend that kind of money to save yourself $55 a month?
Yeah, the parents, look what they're doing now. They would have gotten this stuff out for them.
Mm-hmm.
It couldn't have been that much. I mean, I don't think it was big enough where you could store a refrigerator or anything big,
No, and what could even have been in there? I mean, clothes, yearbooks.
Yeah, probably things like that.
That whole part makes no sense to me. I think there was another argument. He said, I'm flying home, and that was the excuse.
Yeah.
And his parents don't challenge baby boy. His parents don't. Whatever he says goes. Oh, well, he's doing it to save money. But he wouldn't have spent that money, and he didn't have that money. His parents flew him home. I don't believe that.
Yeah, I heard too that they paid for it out of their expenses, their shared expenses, him and Gabby. So that means it came out of Gabby's money, if that's the case. And I just don't know because, we hear one thing here and one thing there, and you don't know what the truth is.
Mm-hmm. No, you're exactly right. Well, guys, I'm going to start winding this down. I don't know when Eagle 8's going to refuel. If something goes on, hit the reminder button, hit the notification. That way you get it when we jump back on. Because if something goes on, today at this reserve where the dad is in the baby bluish shirt and green hat with the Walmart sack, we're going to jump back on.
Well, here's what I think before we go.
Please tell
If
me.
they had found a body and wanted him to come there, or if Brian was there and he wanted to talk to his dad and he wouldn't give up, it would have happened by now. I think we're being led on another goose chase.
Oh, I agree. I agree. So in closing, I want everyone to think about this. Go back to what JB said. Deep thought. What will the Laundrie family be doing for Thanksgiving? Anyone? I have a feeling the same thing they're doing today. Because I don't think O'Brien's going to be coming out of hiding anytime soon.
Yeah, this is getting to be just like the kid that cried wolf one too many times. People are getting tired of it, and they won't even pay any attention anymore.
Just Me said they're going to order Chinese. Holly said a turducken. Joshua said slinging turkey slices into the garden. Yep. Red Banyan said hopefully visiting the jail cell of their child. Yep.
Yeah, hopefully that's be the scenario I'm looking forward to.
Turkey sandwiches, you know. All right, guys. Hey, thanks for jumping in so fast. You guys are the best. We have the best chat, best community. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. unless something happens here with the man in the baby blue shirt looking for his son in the reserve. Send me an email if you can get it from the About tab if you want to join the Discord. If you want to join any of the groups, go check out our Facebook page. Check out What Big Eyes page as well on YouTube. She's got a great channel.
Thank you so much.
You do. You have great content. Vegan said, will they be answering the door to trick-or-treaters? Yes, and everybody will get Stephen Bertolino's business card. Everyone. Everyone. Every time. I don't care if you're Spider-Man or if you're Belle from Beauty and the Beast. Everyone will get Stephen Bertolino's business card.
Oh,
all right, guys. See you later. Y'all are the best. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.